Welcome all audience, no matter who you are, no matter how you are seeing this, listening to this. I appreciate you doing all of that. My name is C Truth, host of Thermal Soundwaves, and of course, Indie Review. We're here doing something very special today. We are covering the Conch International Film Festival happening this year in Forest Hills, Queens, live and in the flesh. That's right. For those who don't know, the Film Festival of Conch, it covers the creative voices of all of the indie and student film directors and writers of the Caribbean diaspora and those from the Caribbean who are inspiring special social change messages and just inspiring, period, just in general. And joining me today, we have someone who is a writer, performer, filmmaker, artist, and creative badass. As she says, Miss Vanessa Diaz, how you doing?
I'm cool. I'm good. Thank you. Good to meet you. Thanks for having
Yes,
me.
indeed. Absolutely. So, for those who may be unfamiliar with you, tell us a little bit about Vanessa Diaz, for those who don't know you.
Okay. Well, I'm sure a lot of people don't know me. So that's why I'm here. So I'm proud to say that I am originally from Queens, New York, from Woodhaven. I was born in Flushing, grew up in Richmond Hill. I went to John Adams High School. I went to that Regal Cinemas in Forest Hills every weekend. So it's an honor to find myself there now, as a woman in my 40s and as a filmmaker. This is my first film. So I'm really proud that my life has brought me back to Queens.
Right, right. So tell us about your journey. So, were you originally into or wanting to do things in entertainment and film, or did you take a detour somewhere?
Well, initially, my entire life was in theater. It was always my dream just to sing on Broadway. That's all I ever wanted to do. And interestingly enough, being from Queens, I didn't really know how to get there. I knew Manhattan was
Wow.
outside the window. I could see it from my school building. We only made it as far as Williamsburg, Brooklyn on the J train. Never really made it into Manhattan. So it wasn't until like freshman year of high school that I cut school. And I went to Manhattan with a friend and I was like, we got to be on Broadway. We got to find how we can be on a Broadway show. So we started knocking on backstage doors and we had some really cool stage managers tell us the drill, like, get a trade magazine, go to auditions. So that's what I wound up doing. And I found myself at a really cool art center in the Lower East Side of Manhattan called the Abrams Art Center, Henry Street Settlement. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and they were looking for kids to devise theater and help create a show with professional theater artists and teaching artists. So that's what I wound up doing and getting involved with all these adults that were already professionals in the field, teaching us playwriting, teaching us acting, music, dance for free. So it was an incredible opportunity for me to learn the arts. That also transitioned to another theater company through New York University, NYU. It was also free, and Lin-Manuel Miranda was actually one of the kids that was a part of the
Wow.
team. So yeah, we were just crazy wild kids in New York, devising theater, creating art. So through the creative arts team, I then became a teaching artist and I was teaching theater, poetry, musical theater all over New York City for 10 years. And then I became a mom. And I thought, cool, now, I don't have to teach, I don't have to do the grinds. And that's not true because, when you're a parent, it's the grind times 1,000. So it was hard. It was hard for me to continue my art and be the mom that I wanted to be to my child. And it wasn't too long before the pain, the missing of being on stage and creating art came back to bite me on the butt. And I threw that baby in a stroller and we went auditioning. We went on audition.
Right.
And that went well until I had my sons with Down syndrome. I have two little boys with Down syndrome. And I realized that not only was it hard for me as a Latina, a woman in her 40s, and at that time, a woman who also gained a significant amount of weight because that's another thing in the entertainment industry. There's not a lot of places for certain
Yeah.
body types. So
Extremely image conscious.
yeah,
Extremely.
right. Especially, when you're in theater, you don't see that as much like in Hollywood. But I felt that stigma too. And I thought, and having these children that have stigma on their face, I really started realizing how on all sides there's so much oppression, and now feeling and seeing it with my own children was just so difficult. And so I thought, theater's not enough. I need a wider platform. I need to write roles for me, roles for my kids, and roles for people like them. So I kicked it up a notch. I took a TV screenwriting class. And I wrote a pilot. I learned how to write a pilot, and I entered it into the NHMC fellowship that's specifically for Latinos of a certain age. And I got into this incredible fellowship program in LA. So for 5 weeks, I was learning the business and meeting some great people. And when I came back to New York, I was like, all right, I guess that was cool, because everybody was like, you got to live in LA. You have to start from the bottom. Like, I'm too old for that. I can't start over. So I just said a little wish and a prayer, and all of a sudden I started getting some calls by agents. I got into the Sesame Workshop Fellowship, again, mentored me to working with younger kids and writing for them. And before I knew it, I got an amazing agent, and I started getting work. And it's just brought me to this place, which is motivating even further to now write film.
Beautiful, beautiful. Congratulations to all that you've done. I mean, that's quite quite a resume.
That's why I have a lot of things to say.
Right, right. Well, I like to say that art, be it film, music, dance, whatever it is, that's the real world, and everything else is not the real world. And there are reasons why I say that, but I'm not going to get into all that right now. But what I want to ask you is, what were some of the things that you learned in the entertainment world, from theater, from writing, and all of that stuff that you use in the world of life?
I would just say persistence. My background in theater always came from a need to tell a story, to educate our audience, to inspire them to some change, some social change. And that's how I approach not just my artistic work, but what I do just as a person. I started a nonprofit organization that has free programs for individuals with Down syndrome. That was like a good 3 years of dedicating my time and just being completely persistent, putting arts on the side, knowing that this is something for the greater good. Just like the things that I write, there's always, this hope that someone's going to see this, someone's going to be inspired, someone's going to not maybe change the world, but maybe they'll create art. So right. I'd say persistence.
Absolutely. I'm C Truth, host of Thermal Soundwaves Indie Review. We're talking to Vanessa Diaz. She's going to be at the Conch International Film Festival this year. Make sure you definitely come out. For more information, go to ConchLIFF.com. It's right there at the bottom of the screen for those who are seeing this and watching this. And we are in person this year in Queens, Forest Hills. So come on out, mix and mingle, socialize, network, and you never know what can happen. At these functions, a lot can happen. Most of the time, this is where things happen and take place. When you come out and you network and you talk to people like Vanessa Diaz, who's doing her thing. Your children, what have their reaction been, and their whole just take on what you do?
I love that question. So for my daughter, she'll be 16 soon. She's actually in the film. So it's always a mixed review. She's kind of excited to be a part of it.
And is that the Road to Lilith that she's in?
Yes, my film Road to Lilith. She plays my daughter. And, it's always a mixed review of, being excited to be on the red carpet and meet people, or being like, oh, I can't believe, I look so silly on screen, or, oh, I should have done something else with my makeup. So for her, it's that. But I would say she's proud. She's proud to see me accomplish things. Like I said, I threw her in the stroller and we started auditioning when she was little. So she's seen me grind. And as for my sons, it's hard to say how much they can comprehend of what I'm doing. I'm usually like with my laptop saying, "Mommy's working," but they don't know exactly what that is. But most recently, I've been able to show them my recent project on Disney Junior. It's a cartoon called Kindergarten the Musical. So while I was writing it and had the rough animation, they'd see some of that and they were really drawn by that. And now seeing it on the television with all the coloring and the music, they're really engaged in it. I keep saying, "Mommy wrote that. Mommy wrote that," you know? So I think they're excited to see that and they could see my name on the screen. So
Definitely. So tell us about the road to Lilith and what that's about.
So the road to Lilith is based on my experience as a mother and as a woman, and a special needs mom and an artist. So basically, a real thing that happened to me is after I had my boys, and I discovered that one of them has apraxia of speech, which is a neurological condition where, although you understand and know all the things you want to say, the words just can't come out of your mouth correctly. So that's with the case with one of my boys. And once I discovered that, I learned that I also had some voice trouble that was a scar, a permanent scar. So the doctor basically said that my voice range was gone and that my dreams of Broadway are gone. But she said to me, "It's not career ending, it's a new voice." So of course I'm like, yeah, that. So I go home and I expect my husband to be just devastated. We've known each other since we were kids. He's watched my dream unfold and he just acted like I stubbed my toe. So I kind of internalized that for a bit. And one day I just flipped out and I was like, "I'm leaving. I'm going to the desert. You don't care about me." And as women, we put ourselves on the back burner. My mother did it, my grandmother did it, and you're not going to do that to me. So he's a nice guy. Let me just say that. We had a nice talking to, and it's because, you know, I didn't communicate how I felt. He's not communicating, right? He's working. He's putting the roof over the house. So we played the roles of our parents. My mom ate it. My dad barked, right? So with these dynamics. So I explored that more, and I thought, you know, this is what women do. We suppress our emotions until we can't anymore. So I did have the opportunity to go to the desert and experience a retreat that I wrote for myself to kind of come to terms with my voice and my son's diagnosis and what this all could mean. And when I went to the desert, I wrote this beautiful film that I say is a declaration of independence for women or anyone in their middle age that feels that they've lost their voice. It's never too late to find it again. And I'll tell you that while I was there, when I left the desert, I got my first job as a television writer. And I heard that doctor's voice say, "It's a new voice." So that's what this film is about. You do you, you do you.
Beautiful, beautiful. How do you deal with the dynamic of when you have people, be it relationships, husband, wife, family, that are not in the world of entertainment and don't necessarily get what's going on or what needs to be done within that world? They're in the quote unquote regular world. Like how do you deal with like balancing you having to do what you need to do with having them kind of understand what you're doing but don't really understand, and sometimes, you know, there could be clashes and
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like, I mean, caution is important, right? We have to approach big risky things with some bit of perspective and, you know, what ifs. But the thing with artists is that this is our life's blood. It's our, we can't sleep unless we're creating. And sometimes the creation is different. It's not what you thought, because real life is real, right? You have responsibilities, but you have to find those ways. I never thought in a million years I'd be writing for television or that I would write a film. I didn't even want to act in films. I just wanted one thing, which was a stage and Broadway, but it wasn't in the cards for me at the time. There was a path. So I feel like everyone has a path. Just keep trusting it and never let go of that fire inside, because that's your life force.
Absolutely. As a Puerto Rican, I'm just curious as to how do you feel the role between Puerto Rico and the United States? And I raised this because I was watching the Olympics, right?
Mm.
And Puerto Rico is it's part of the United States, right? But they're on their own as Puerto Rico, but not. So I don't quite understand the dynamic of what's really going on. And I know people from Puerto Rico, and it's a large thing. But I just want to get your perspective on what that whole thing is about. Like what's happening with that.
It's so complicated and it goes back so far, and it's painful for so many people in our community, especially the ones that believe in independence and decolonizing Puerto Rico. Our contributions to the United States are so great and so vast. I really can't say that I can speak fluently as to what, the Olympics and the decisions that were made, because I didn't really follow that. I'm always kind of wiping markers off my walls and picking Play-Doh out of the carpet. But for me, I'm happy that there was more of a stage for Puerto Ricans. I feel like had they been absorbed into the USA team, it would dilute their chances of showcasing their talent. So in terms of that, that's how I feel. But I mean, colonization is real. It happens. It's happening. And it affects who we are as people, and that's all I got to say about that.
Right. So tell people where they could see more of your work, your social media, websites, if you have them, and all places that you can get in contact with you.
Yeah, I'm simple. I'm on Facebook. I don't check it that often, but Instagram's my little party place currently. And I have a website, Vanessa Diaz, Vanessa with an E.com. Yeah.
What are some of the things that you're looking forward to working on in the future?
Well, I wrote a really beautiful script that I believe will win an Oscar one day. So it's a little short, inspired again by my children, and I hope to raise the funds to shoot it. It features, individuals with disabilities at the forefront of Hollywood, which is something that this film really helped inform and inspire me, was not just having an actor with Down syndrome, but our production assistants as well. So, and seeing that interaction with them and the crew and their meaningful engagement, they really wanted to teach these guys the lay of the land and how to use equipment and what the equipment does. And I thought, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, is create all this space for individuals of differing abilities.
Beautiful. Great. Make sure y'all support Vanessa Diaz. Make sure you check out The Road to Lilith. And make sure that you come out to the Conch International Film Festival this year, happening in Forest Hills, Queens. It's at the Regal. For more information, it's right there at the bottom of the screen. But ConchSiFF.com is where you go for more information on that. And come out. You'll see Vanessa there in person. You can talk to her more about what's going on with her films and things that she's doing, people she's inspiring, and so forth. And maybe she could tell you where you can get some good dishes as well, because
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe locally around there in Queens. But I thank you for taking some time out and joining us and telling us about your story and things that you're doing and involved in, which is very inspiring, extremely inspiring.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Definitely. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
Yes. I'm C Truth, host of Thermal Soundwaves Indie Review. We are covering the Conch International Film Festival this year, happening live in the flesh in Forest Hills, Queens. Make sure you come out. ConchSiFF.com is where you go for more information. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.